This weekend I'm planning on riding out to Stanthorpe for a long weekend, meeting out at Stanthorpe or meeting up with some friends while I'm out there, and hopefully we're planning on doing a bit of photography as well, relaxing, going for some bushwalks, and just enjoying our time. So what I'd like to do is just show what I'm packing for this long weekend trip on the motorbike. So I want to go through everything from my tent, cooking, camping gear, and also just a little bit with the motorbike as well. So let's start off with the tent. Now what I'd like to say is I'm trying to use what I've got. Now with that said, I have just purchased an Austrail Hiker 2. So this is a tent for two people. I did have a one-person tent for a previous trip down to Phillip Island for the MotoGP. Now that was great for that trip, but because I'm expecting a bit of rain, I wanted something a little bit bigger. So I've gone with this two-person tent, still fairly small in size, but at least I've got room to put some gear in the tent, and if it's raining I can sit up and just relax a little bit more. So I've got the tent. For a sleeping bag, now I'm utilising once again a sleeping bag that I've already got or had. So this sleeping bag's rated for -5, but the comfort level is actually 0. Now we're actually expecting the temperature to drop below 0 at Stanthorpe this weekend. So what I'm planning on doing, well actually before I talk about that, it is a bit bigger than your normal, well actually you could get smaller sleeping bags for hiking or motorbike riding, but once again I'm trying to utilise what I've got. So this is a type of sleeping bag I've used for the swags. Don't know if you can see it, but up on the roof there, way up there, we've got a whole heap of swags. So previously when forward driving, I've used this sleeping bag. It's a very good sleeping bag. So because it's only rated for 0 for comfort, I've got a Thermalite reactor, fabric reactor, so this actually fits inside the sleeping bag and adds an extra roughly 6 degrees of warmth. So it'll take it from 0 to -6. So yeah, that should help us out. I'm also wearing, which I'll go through later on, but I have actually got thermals as well. So I'm pretty confident I should be warm. So I've got the tent, sleeping bag, the insert, which add an extra 6 degrees. I've also got down here just a small ground sheet, so just a little tarp. I think it's about a 3 by 4 foot tarp, just that I can put under the tent, just to try and stop some moisture and warmth, cold coming up underneath. Okay, so for a pillow, you got a couple of options for pillows. Use your jacket, all sorts of things. I use this one. It's just a cloth one, just a material one. So it folds up pretty small, fit it in there. I have used the plastic ones before, but I found they just made a bit of noise for me. So this one, yeah, will do me fine. So that's what I use for a pillow. I'll pack that up later. For a chair, I've got a 3-in-1. Now, I have had a couple of chairs previously. The other one I've had a back to it. There are a lot of different parts and bendy bits, and it actually broke. So this was a brand new one, never used. I bought it about 3 years ago. It's a 3-in-1, so it's a bit of a table, a stool, chair, whatever you want to make it. What's it say? Yeah, it's a 3-in-1, a multi-use stool. So I'm going to use that for my seat. We'll see how it goes. Now, in terms of a mattress to sleep on, self-inflating mat. I've had this for, again, 5 years. I took this down to Melbourne for the MotoGP. Absolutely did an amazing job for me. So once again, I'm going to take that, not buying anything new. So that covers my tent and all my sleeping requirements, so that should keep me nice and warm. In terms of cooking, I've got the Furno 360. Sorry, actually, it is too, the Furno 360. So which is what this is. So that it's quite nice and small and all packs away into here. So that's what I'll be using to cook, make my hot tea. Got my thermos. It's going to be very cold, so we'll be having a lot of cups of tea while we're down there. So this is what I'll be cooking on. Because it is going to be fairly wet and moist out there, I'll just show, I've got the flint and steel, how easy it is to light. There you go. So I'll be using that while I'm camping. That's where these come in handy. So if everything gets wet, this will still work. So I'll be packing that. In terms of, I've got this little wind protector to go around it. It's very light, just folds up. Now, I will be taking the whole set of cutlery. The only reason being it is overkill for a motorbike ride, but me being me, if I start pulling individual things out, they never get returned, and I don't have a set at the end of the trip, so I will be taking the whole thing with me. Covered. Okay, first aid. So the first aid kit is a little bit bigger than your average first aid kit, but it's a good travel kit. I have stocked it with extra stock. I will do another video on that later on the different types of first aid kits you could take out with you and what you need to put in there. But I have found that you can quickly deplete your stock of first aid materials. So I have got extra stuff in there. So I have made good use of my first aid kits in the past. While I'm out at Stanthorpe, I'm planning on doing a bit of photography. Obviously some video as well. So in terms of video, I've got the Gopro, so I've got different attachments which I'll be packing in the motorbike. And then with my camera gear, I've got the Canon, I've got my drone, the Mavic Pro, sitting there. For the Mavic Pro, I've actually packed the batteries and the remote just in this little red bag. Actually, this red bag was once a very cheap first aid kit. So you can see the batteries, leads, and the controller. Just to try and keep things a little bit neater. Just pack that away. I've also got a little LED light. Hoping to do, we may do a bit of nighttime photography, so that could come in handy. So in terms of the camping gear, cooking, camera gear, first aid, that's all covered there. We'll just walk over. Sorry, we've got the dog down there. Walk over to the bike. In terms of the bike, I have done a bit of a service on it. So new oil, flushed out the radiator, new back brake pads, new oil filter, so it's all ready to go. I've also got a GoPro mount here, as well as on top of the helmet, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So soft bag on top of the fuel tank, so I'll be packing things in here in these pockets, so I find that helpful. I've also got a 12 volt so I can do charging for the phone or batteries while I'm riding along. So that's all good. I've got my helmet, all my bike riding gear, gloves, jacket, and waterproof pants. So that's all there for the bike ride. In here I've got all my clothes. Now that is bigger than normal. Most people will say, why so much? But because I am planning for rain and cold, I have packed a few extra jackets, 2 pairs of jeans, just a few things in case I get wet. So once again, more wet weather gear. Everything else is empty at the moment, all the panniers, so I'll be packing that later on. So yeah, this is what I'll be taking out to Stanthorpe. And yeah, hopefully at the end of the trip, I'll give you a bit of a review of what worked and what didn't work.